The next people that we meet in the Bible are named Jacob and Esau. Here is their story. We don't hear anything more about Isaac until he's married to his wife Rebekah. Isaac and Rebekah give birth to twins. Esau is the oldest twin, and he is a hunter. He is Isaac's favorite, and honestly, he has a lot more muscles than brains. Jacob is the second born of the twins. He is very clever. He's more of a mama's boy. He likes to stay at home, and he is Rebekah's favorite. In order to understand the story of Jacob and Esau, we need to understand what is a birthright. In the time of the Bible, uh, a birthright is the rights that were given to the firstborn son. When the father died, the firstborn son became the head of the household and also inherited all of the father's possessions. So in this story, Esau is the oldest and he has the birthright. When the story begins, Esau is out hunting and he comes home to the tent and he's very, very hungry. Jacob is in the tent and he was making some stew. So as you can see on this slide here in Genesis chapter 25, Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starving. Give me some of that stew." "All right," Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." "I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright to me now?" So Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. He showed contempt for his birthright. So Esau didn't really show a lot of concern for the things that he was supposed to inherit. As the story continues in Genesis chapter 27, Isaac is very old now. He's going blind, and he's ready to bless Esau. And this blessing is going to bestow the rights to the firstborn. Remember, though, that Esau had given his rights, his firstborn rights, to Jacob for that bowl of stew. Working together, Rebekah helps Jacob to dress up like Esau. Jacob puts on Esau's clothes. He puts on some goat skin so that Jacob will feel hairy like his brother. And so they trick Isaac. During the meal, Isaac feels Jacob. Jacob feels hairy like his brother because he's touching the goat skin. And he ends up giving the blessing to Jacob. And that transfers everything now to Jacob. Jacob now has the head of the household and he now has all the possessions. And this blessing can only be given once. So now this blessing of the birthright belongs to Jacob. As you can imagine, when Esau finds out what Jacob has done, he is furious. And it says in the Bible that Esau wants to kill Jacob. So in order to escape Esau's wrath, Rebekah tells Jacob, "Go to Haran and go stay with your uncle Laban." On his way there, Jacob has a dream. It's called Jacob's ladder. You might have heard of it. And Jacob dreams about a ladder going from earth to heaven with angels going up and down on its steps. And in this dream, God speaks to Jacob. And God reiterates the covenant to Jacob, which symbolizes that now Jacob is the covenant holder, that covenant that Abraham and God entered into together. Now Jacob is the bearer of the covenant. And one thing you do need to know about biblical culture is that they took dreams very seriously. So when they had a dream, they considered this dream to be a message from God. As the story continues, we meet two women, Rachel and Leah, and these two girls are sisters. Rachel and Leah are sisters. They are the daughters of Laban. And so Jacob is working for his uncle Laban, and he ends up falling in love with Rachel. So Laban tells Jacob, if you work for me for 7 years, I will give Rachel to you in marriage. There is a little bit of a problem here, however. Leah is the oldest daughter, and in biblical times it was customary for the older sister to get married before the younger one. So what Laban does is Laban tricks Jacob into marrying Leah. And if you are wondering how can a man possibly marry the wrong woman, if you paid attention to the previous slide, brides at the time of the Bible were heavily veiled. Almost their whole entire face was covered. After another 7 years of working for Laban, Jacob was able to marry Rachel. So now at this point in the story, Jacob has two wives, Leah and Rachel. The two brides struggle for Jacob's attention. Leah knows that Jacob loves Rachel, not her, and so she prays and asks for many children. Her hope is that if she can bear Jacob a lot of children, maybe Jacob will pay some attention to her, even though he really loves Rachel. And in a theme, just like Abraham and Sarah, Rachel too could not have any children. Rachel was barren. Okay, let's see if we can keep track of what's. Remember, Leah asked God to give her many children. So if you see here on this diagram, this is Leah, and she was very fertile. She was able to give Jacob all these children, all these boys here. Their names are Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. So those are the children that Leah gave to Jacob. Now, Rachel over here, remember, she's barren. So what she did was she gave her servant girl, Bilhah, to Jacob, since she couldn't have children. And Bilhah and Jacob slept together, and they were able to have children. Bilhah gave Jacob two boys, Dan and Naphtali. Okay, now back over here, Leah sees what's going on, and so she gives her servant girl, Zilpah, to Jacob. And together, Zilpah and Jacob have two more boys, Gad and Asher. So Jacob is one lucky guy, as you can see here. Finally, in the story, toward the end of the story, Rachel is able to have children, and Rachel, remember, Rachel is the woman that Jacob really loves. Rachel gives birth to two boys, Joseph and Benjamin. So altogether, Jacob has 12 boys and one girl. So with the birth of Joseph, this is going to set us up for the next story, which is Joseph and his coat of many colors. He's going to be the favorite because he is the son, the firstborn son of Rachel, the woman whom Jacob really loved. In the story, Rachel gives birth to one more son after Joseph. His name is Benjamin, and then Rachel dies in childbirth while giving birth to Benjamin. This next part of the story holds a very interesting scene. Jacob wants to go home, but he's afraid because he remembers that Esau was so angry at him for stealing the birthright. So on the way home, Jacob wrestles with a man. Later he realizes this man is a messenger from God. He's an angel. During their wrestling, Jacob gets his name changed. The angel blesses Jacob and changes his name. Jacob's name is now Israel. Remember, we talked earlier about the fact that in the Bible and even today, people often get their names changed to signify a new status in life. Remember, Jacob is the one who holds the covenant now. Jacob is the one who is believing in God. So he gets his name changed to Israel to reflect this new status in life. And now the people, up until this time, they were called the Hebrews, but now they're called the Israelites because of Jacob's name change to Israel. There's a very nice ending to this story. In Genesis chapter 33, it says that when Esau saw Jacob, Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So Jacob was afraid that Esau would still be mad at him, but Jacob found that his brother was very loving and very forgiving. So it's a very nice end to the story when these two brothers, after everything that happened, they are reunited peacefully.